Hello, my voice is audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good afternoon, all. Welcome to Day 2 webinar organized by Matoshri K.M. Patel College Research Committee. I would request Snehal ma'am to kindly come and introduce our speaker for the day. Snehal ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to thanks to our Vice Principal, ma'am, and all the research committee members that they give me this opportunity to welcome and to introduce Dr. Nandini Deshpande, ma'am. So thank you so much for that. First, I welcome to Dr. Mrs. Nandini Deshpande, ma'am, on behalf of Matoshri K. Patel College, Senior College of Science and Commerce. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure that the opportunity is given to me to welcome you. So, in later words, in shortly, I will have your introduction. So, Nandini, madam, is currently working as an in-charge principal at Srinagar College of Arts and Commerce. Uh, just a second, ma'am. Yes, Nandini madam is currently working as an in-charge principal at Srinagar College of Arts and Commerce, Pune. She was awarded by National Student Union of India as Pratibha Samman for procuring first rank in MCOM in the college in 2001. Also awarded by Honorable Governor of Madhya Pradesh, Shri Bhai Mahavirji in 2000, as well as awarded by Mayor of Bhopal for first rank in MCOM final in 2001. She has secured outstanding grade and top in MPhil examination of Barakallah University, Bhopal, that is in MP in 2002. She also received the late Yamutai Kirloskar Prize for the best female student in MBA 2006. In 2006, she has received that. She has 18 years of teaching experience. So we are having the eminent personality today with us. Till now, she has attended more than 200 seminars, conference, workshop, and she presented more than 85 research papers at international, national level. She has also written 7 books on the subject like business regulatory framework, marketing management, organizational skill development, etc. Her 52 research paper in the national journals and 40 research paper at the international peer review journals have been published. She has also work as a member for designing the syllabus for the subject advertising, sales promotion, and the sales management under Savitribai Phule Pune University. She has delivered guest lecture in various renowned institutions in Pune, Nashik, Aurangabad, Sangli, Indore, Bhopal, and many more. She has also delivered lecture as a chief resource person on research methodology in faculty development program organized by UGC, that is in New Delhi. So that is a very nice that we are today here to listen you, ma'am. So it's our we are very lucky to have you here. So she has also been a resource person and reporters for the national as well as international conference and seminar in Pune, Nashik, Indore, Bhopal, and many more cities also. She was also awarded Best Teacher by the Joint Commissioner of Pune in 2012. So, belated, but congratulations, ma'am, for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Also awarded as Faculty Achievement and Faculty Appreciation Award by her college in the year 2012 and 13 and 14 as well. So continuously for 2 years, she has awarded as a best teacher. Once again, congratulations for that to ma'am.
Thank you.
Uh, then awarded as a first prize in teachers and commerce category Avishkar competition in 2013, which is organized by BCUD in Savitribai Phule Pune University in Shirur. So that is organized by Pune University. In that, she got the first prize. She stood for the first prize, and currently working as a guide for a PhD program in commerce and management under Savitribai Phule Pune University, as well as also working as a MBA guide in Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. So welcome you, ma'am. And once again, thank you so much to our Vice Principal, ma'am, and the research committee members that they gave me this opportunity to introduce this such a eminent personality with us. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much to the all. Yes. Now I would like to hand over to the Nandini, ma'am.
First of all, thank you so much, madam. I have to say it's my honor and privilege to be a part of this FDP. A very good afternoon to all my dear friends. The topic that has been given to me is review of literature and reference management. I will try my level best to justify with this topic to all my friends. Before starting, I just want to say a very big thank you to the Maturshi K.M. Patel Senior College of Commerce and Science for giving me this opportunity. It's very, very important that FDP should be on a regular basis because it is a continuous process of sharing a knowledge. So before starting my lecture, I just want to devote and dedicate some lines to this wonderful college who has given us a platform of learning and sharing with each other. That is exchange of knowledge. So some beautiful lines I want to start with. It's a beautiful Chinese saying. If you're planning for 1 year, plant grains. If you're planning for 10 years, plant trees. If you're planning for 100 years, plant men. And I have to say, this college is exactly doing the same thing. It is giving us how to grow and to learn more and more of knowledge. So thank you once again. I will start with my presentation. Okay. Now, the first very question that comes to our mind is review of literature. Yes. Generally, what I found from my students, what they consider review of literature not as so important as other topics, which is a very, very wrong perception of the research students. Now, the first question that comes to the mind of the students, why to write a review of literature? I have to say that having happily find and happily having selected your topic, generally the beginning researchers are very raring to go. Now, when I use the phrase raring to go, means they are full of enthusiasm and eagerness that we are going to complete a research work as soon as possible. And they're having this perception, that opinion, that to cover this chapter of review of literature is just an necessary evil, which we need to complete as soon as possible so that we can start with the main research work. But I have to say this is very, very wrong opinion of all the beginning researchers. And this is due to the lack of understanding of the purpose and the importance of review of literature. And most importantly, the feeling of uneasiness on the students because they don't know how to go for the reporting of the review of literature. But I have to say, all my dear friends, that review of literature is the backbone of the entire research. And I tell you, as we will be proceeding, I will tell you how review of literature is the backbone. So exactly, it is the integral part of the research process. And once if it is conducted, and we can conduct it quite painlessly if it has been arranged and approached in an orderly manner. Okay, now, so the first thing that comes to our mind, why to write and why it is necessary. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. To understand the review of literature, there are two important questions that comes to our mind. Why we need to write and how we need to do. Now, the question for why is that, as it is understood by the research guide that you have to write one chapter on review of literature, so we don't bother of why. We are more bothering for how. But my dear friends, today I will explain you that why this chapter is important. Just it is there in the curriculum that we need to complete this particular chapter, so called review of literature. We do for it, but what is the purpose and how this particular chapter is going to help us, whether you're writing a research paper or a thesis, whatever research work you're doing, please consider this as very, very important. Now, the first thing that comes to our mind is why, that is literature on the topic. I suggest you, whenever you're selecting the topic, it should be very close to your heart. It should be very interesting for you. Otherwise, you're going to struggling for many years to complete it. So first of all, select the topic. Don't be bothered about whether the topic is new or a lot of research has been done. Please don't bother for those two important points. I repeat, when you're selecting the topic, please don't bother when you're selecting the topic of your thesis or the topic of your research paper. Please don't bother that if I'm going to take this topic, so much work have already been done, so I'm not going to choose this topic. Many of the beginning researchers are also having a doubt that if you're going for new topic, we won't be able to complete this particular chapter, so-called review of literature, because we are not having that much of literature available. But this is also wrong. You choose the topic, whether it is lot of research has been conducted or whether it is new. Please select those topics which is interesting for you, which is going to be beneficial for the society. And most importantly, you can add something new, something original. That is very, very important in the research work. Now, the second thing comes that literature on method. Now, the second important thing that why I need to do, what will be my method, how I'm going to collect it. So you need to understand what are the various methods of collecting. But the most important method, what I will suggest you is clustering method. You need to go for clustering method. It helps you in sorting out that what method will be beneficial for you. The third one is the theoretical approach. It's very, very important. Review of literature helps you in framing your theoretical roots. Once your roots are there, it's easy for you to grow. Similarly, this particular theoretical approach helps you to develop your methodology. It clarifies your ideas. And most importantly, it interprets your findings with the existing body of knowledge. Okay, now we have seen why we need to do. Now we are going to see how. Now, when we talk about how, you need to find a whole. In a very lighter mode, I would say you need to be a CID officer. I watch a lot of crime patrols serial. So I would suggest you need to be a CID officer. You need to find what is missing. Again, I repeat, you need to find from the critical point of view that what is missing in the previous studies which have been done by the researchers. Because review of literature is not simply copying what others have done. Okay, so for that you need to find out something new. And now how you're going to find something new? This question comes up. How you need to find? You need to critically read each and every thesis, each and every topic which is related to your topic, and find out what is missing, what has not been done by others, so that I can do my research in that area. Okay, and the second how is that look for debates. Now, you can go for debates only when you're confident. When you will be confident, when you are going to find the reliable sources. If simply you are just not, if you're not finding good books or something, you need to find out good references. You need to find out good citation article. Now, how to find in the coming PPTs, I'm going to explain you. So you should be ready for the debate that if somebody challenge you that why this particular portion has been written in your research paper, you should be ready for that debate, and that comes only when you write the review of literature from the reliable sources. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. Why to write a review of literature? To discover what has been written about a topic already. Absolutely. We all are human beings. We need the help of others. We can't depend for each and everything on our originality. For some part, for some portion, we have to find out the past records. So the first thing that we need to do, we need to find out how much literature related to my topic is available. Okay, in the books, in the journals, in the websites, whatsoever, which is going to help you. The second thing is that to determine what each source contributes to the topic. Now, this is important. Now, in your topic, you need to find out how many variables are there. I will give you my suggestion. I will give you my example. My PhD thesis was based on a comparative study on two variables. That was organization culture and job satisfaction. So these are my two variables. Now, in my topic, I need to find out the variables. Please, again, I'm saying, don't bother about whether it is dependent variable or it is independent variable. We need not to bother about that. We need to just find out the variables. Once the variables we know, we are going to select the work, the research has been done on these two important variables. Apart from that, we are not need to do and need not to search any other uh, extra literature. Okay, the third question that comes to our mind is to understand the relationship between the various contributions, identify and if possible, resolve the contradictions and determine gaps or unanswered questions. Now, my dear friends, this is very, very important, this third point. Uh, it means to find out the research gap. Your research is incomplete if you're not defining the research gap. I just want to make it clear, it is not only from the point of view of a PhD thesis, not only from the point of view of any minor research project, but today this is the requirement of even if you're writing a research paper, you need to find out the research gap. Just as you have completed writing your review of literature, each and every article you need to write out what is missing in that and what that missing portion I'm covering in my study. That is known as research gap. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. Now, what is involved in writing a review of literature? To discover what has been written about a topic already that I've discussed in my previous slide also, we need to find out. Simply find out, don't do the clustering, don't do the filtering, just collect the data. Whether it is raw also, collect the data. Now, second is the critical appraisal. I told you, you need to read from the critical point of view, and especially the ladies are very good from the critics point of view. So we have to be like a lady. Uski साड़ी मुझसे सफेद कैसे? Exactly. उसकी साड़ी मुझसे सफेद कैसे है? वैसे ही जो attitude है critic करने का, वही attitude we need to adopt. What is there, what is not there, and what I need to add. That is required. So from critically, you need to evaluate, try to find out their findings, what is not covered in that. I give you one example. I have done on job satisfaction. Okay, my study, suppose my study is on job satisfaction. Now, there are so many variables which are coming under job satisfaction. It might be that the other researchers have covered some variables like related to monetary variables, that monetary goals give us satisfaction. But it is not the case. There might be some other people, some other points where psychological points are also there. Psychologically also, not only monetary, but other non-monetary issues are also there, which can give you job satisfaction. So if that non-monetary variables have not been covered by others, definitely those variables you can cover in your study. Okay, the third point is writing to explain what you have found. This is also very, very important. My voice is audible? Is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Third point, if you see on the slide, is to explain what you have found. You have to give your own contribution. You have to give your originality. You have to show that you have done your original work. Otherwise, your research paper or thesis is not going to be up to the mark. Okay, so in short, what is review of literature? It provides the reader with a picture of the state of knowledge and the main questions in the subject area being investigated. Absolutely. You have to be your CID officer of your own research. You need to find out the questions. You need to find out the root problems which is there, which is prevailing in your topic, and how you can find out a reliable an original solution to your problems. Okay, very quickly I'm going to go through this slide. So review of literature is a summary of all the reviews from various research literatures related to the current study carried out by the researcher. It helps to discover what is already known about the research problem and what more has to be done. Generally, review of literature provides in-depth understanding and explanation of how your findings are similar to a novel from previous research work. Novel means different, unique. Okay, now in short, when we go through this particular site, in short, I can tell you that it is the finding itself. So review of literature is your own findings. Okay, now the review of literature is an assessment of a body of research that addresses a research question. Now, what are the questions that should come to your mind? That is 5 Ws. What are those 5 Ws? What, when, where, whom, when, why, and one H, that is how. Okay, I will give you one short story. It's a very interesting story. I've already shared with my research students also. Now, when you are going for the review of literature, you need to find out the problem. You need to find out your question. What is your research question? What you need to find out, what you need to work on. There was one person, and he has written one complaint to General Motors. He has bought a car from General Motors. It's a long back story, long back. It is in 1950s around. And that person has bought a car from General Motors. And this is a story from USA. And that person has written one letter, help, my car is allergic to vanilla ice cream. I repeat, my dear friends, help, my car is allergic to vanilla ice cream. And he gave that application, that complaint to the head office of the General Motors. They thought that might be a mad person and giving such applications and complaints, all those, and they have not worked on it. After a month, they received 4 or 5 more complaint letters, people saying that when we are eating vanilla ice cream from that particular mall, a car is not starting. Now, if I ask you about this question, and especially when we talk about India, they might have think that it is a booth place, ghost place, and we should not go to that mall. But when more applications they've received that there is a problem with the people, that when they are going to a particular mall, especially that particular mall, and after coming from that mall, when they are parking their car and when they're coming, the car is not starting. So General Motors thought now it is a big problem because this is not an issue with one person. Now so many complaints are coming. So they sent their 2 managers that go and check it out, that what is wrong with that mall and what is wrong in that parking area. So the 2 managers went over there and they also examined the same thing when they are parking their car in that parking area, and when they go to the mall and when they eat vanilla ice cream, and when they come back, their car is not starting. So now it's a very, very big problem. And the best part was that they thought it from scientifically point of view. And a team was being constituted, one committee was constituted, and the entire story was like that. There were 2 counters in that mall. One counter was for other flavors, and one counter specially was for vanilla ice cream. So there were 2 counters. So one counter only for vanilla, because vanilla ice cream is very, very favorite for them at that time, and other flavors were having different counter. Now those who are going for vanilla ice cream, the line is too long because it was a favorite counter, favorite ice cream from them. So it was a long queue. When they are going for other ice cream, the queue was very short. Okay, so when they are going for other ice cream, suppose butterscotch or other flavor, when they used to come back, their car used to start. But when they are eating or when they are enjoying vanilla ice cream, their car never starts. And the reason was found out that in vanilla ice cream case, the queue is too long because it is one of the favorite flavors of the people. So it takes time for them to get the ice cream, to eat the ice cream. And when they come back, it takes longer time as compared to when you are eating some other flavor. So due to what happened, there was a problem that the water vapor gets locked. And because of the water vapor gets locked in the engine, the car never starts. And definitely, I would say that the proper research was done because the question was clear to them. Your research question should be clear. What is the problem? Otherwise, you're going to roam around and around the tree. So they found out the root problem, that there is something in the problem in the car. And it was found that the Water vapors are locking the entire engine and the engine is not starting. And so the car doesn't start. Okay, so I was just giving this story to tell you that first of all, find a question of yours and then you find the solution. Okay, now uh, we'll move on to the next slide. Now, these are the steps of writing an effective literature review. The first point is gathering the sources. Now, how you are going to gather the sources? The first point is focus on your topic. A literature review aims to cover all the research on a given topic. If the topic is too large, there will be much material to cover it adequately. Your focus has to be on your topic. If the topic is broad, if the topic has having variables, you need to narrow down your topic. I repeat, if your topic is too broad, too many variables, you need to narrow down so that you can go in depth, so that you can cover each and every variable properly. So you need to narrow it down and your focus has to be on your topic only. Many times it has seen, and when I check the review of literature chapter of my students, what I find that some of the articles has nothing to do with your study, nothing to do. Their topic, their variables are not matching with you. Just simply to have a count on your chapters that I have reviewed 50 articles, 60 articles, 80 articles, it is not going to help you out. It's going to waste your time and your energy, and it's going to make your guide angry also. So it's very important to focus and be restricted to your topic. I tell you the example of an eagle. The eagle is a very focused bird. Okay, my dear friends, eagle is a very focused bird. And many times it has seen that it is only the crow which can sit on the top of the eagle. It is only crow which can sit at the top of the eagle. Okay, now what eagle do? He never gets irritated. Whenever the crow sits on its top, the eagle never gets irritated. What he do? He just focus on his prey. He just focus on his own strategy. And what the eagle do? He flies more higher. He flies towards more at a higher height. As the eagle goes at a higher height, the crow fell down or the crow fall down. So you have not to bother about what others are telling you. Just review lot of books, carefully reading and reading again and again this practice, which is going to help you to focus on your topic. Follow the guidelines of your guide. Take the help of experts. Focus on yourself. All these, there will be so many crows which will be telling you, don't bother, whatever you write, it's going to be accepted. Nothing doing. Do the work properly, honestly, because honesty always touches your heart and the heart of others. We'll move on to the next slide. Okay, now reading with a purpose. Okay, although you need to briefly summarize sources, a good literature review requires that you isolate key themes or issues related to your own research interest. My dear friends, if you're not having the framework, okay, nothing to worry about. You need one boundary so that I can start my work. If you don't have your rough framework, just simply read the articles, read the thesis, and in a separate paper, you just note down the important things what you've abstracted. And afterwards, whatever you have written in your separate sheet, okay, you just note down the important points from there. This will help you in making a good review of literature. Okay, again, I'm saying if you're not having a boundary or framework, what you do, you just do the collection of all the articles one by one. You read out those articles carefully. Again, I'm saying with a purpose of critically. You need to criticize. You need to critically find out what is there, what is not there, what I can add to my contribution. This is known as reading with a purpose. So when you're reading all those articles or thesis, you note down the important key points. After noting down, you make your own rough framework, which is going to help you in framing your objectives of the study. It's going to help you in framing your hypothesis of your studies. Okay, so that is the basic goal of review of literature, which help you, give you the knowledge how you will be framing your objectives, how will be framing your hypothesis. Okay, now the question comes, how we are going to evaluate the sources. Many of us are having a very big question in our mind, how to find out which sources is reliable, which thesis is reliable? We never know. So the question to all these doubts asked is, for each book or article, what you need to consider, you need to consider the credentials. Is the author an expert? Now, when I talk about credentials, again one question comes to our mind: what is credentials? Credentials are the educational skills or the biographic information that makes his or her um, capable of writing or speaking on a particular topic. Now the question comes, after understanding what is credentials, how we need to find out the author, whether credentials are there or not. Now, for if you're going for a book, it's very easy to know about that particular author. You can read the preface or the acknowledgement, or at the end of the book, the summary about that particular author. So you can read out the preface or acknowledgement, and you can able to know whether that particular is original or not. Okay. Now the second thing is that about articles. Now when we talk about articles, it is little bit challenging as compared to books. Now to find out whether the book is having a reliable author or not, you can go through and you can find out how much work he has done earlier, and you can make it out whether you need to refer this book or not. Now the second thing that we need to find out is the article. As compared to books, this part is little bit challenging. And what you need to do, you need to go for a publication from a professional organization. First thing. Second, you need to go for Google Scholar. Google Scholar is having an ability to link to an author's profile. Through that profile, you can go through and you can find it out whether this author is reliable. I can go for this book or not. Another feature of Google Scholar is that it tells you how frequently this article has been cited by others. I repeat, another feature of Google Scholar is that it tells you how often this article is cited by others. A high number of citation is a good indicator that the author is reliable and the work is original. Okay. Now, this is about the articles, not coming about the websites, because nowadays we are in the area of ICT. So much of digital libraries and online publications are there. So we are referring so many websites. Now the question comes, how we are going to check the credentials of a website. The first thing that you should remember about the website is that whether this website is regularly updated, who is the host of this website. And moreover, what you can do, you can go for online library. You can go for online library catalog also, as well as there are so many research databases through which you can find out what else this particular author has earlier contributed. So these are very important guidelines through which you can find out the credential of the website, credential of the book, and the credential of the article. Okay. Okay. Now, the second point that we need to, while evaluating the sources, we need to work out is the argument or evidence. Does the evidence support the conclusion? Is the argument or evidence completed? Now, once you have find out the problem, you need to find out the solution. Now, the conclusion should be satisfying. The conclusion should be having the proper solution for that. So, when you're evaluating the sources, find out whether the conclusion is complete, whether it is suggesting something new, whether it is original, whether it is giving the right solution to my problems or not. Okay. Now, when comparing the sources, please consider the conclusions. If you're having 4 or 5 articles, for example, with you, somewhat related, somewhat variables are the same, please go through the conclusions of all those other researchers and find out from which opinion they have given their conclusion. That is very important. What they have found out, what is their opinion, whether that opinion is correct or not, that we are going to do the research by ourselves. And then we can criticize that person that it has not covered those variables that he should have covered. But in the initial stages of review of literature, whatever articles you have collected, please read the conclusions, find out their opinions. According to their opinions, what is the solution? Okay. Now, gaps or omissions. What questions are raised by the literature? Now, this is also important. Excellent, good, average. See, you need to give all these points to the research articles. this article is absolutely right. My so many doubts have been cleared. So you will be giving excellent to that particular article. Now, the points that you're giving, you need to cover those articles, especially in your review of literature. Those articles, those theses, which is not making it clear. You find the author little bit confused. So give it poor. Now, after doing all this sorting out, those articles or thesis, according to you, are average or poor, is not helping you, is not giving you any knowledge, not helping you out, then give them poor or average. Those articles, those papers which are giving you good knowledge, helping you out, you give them good or excellent marks. Review of literature should be done for all those excellent and good work only. Please ignore the average and the poor work done by other researchers. It is not necessary that all those people who are writing the research paper, thesis, they're excellent. They have nothing done wrong. They are always correct. No, this is not correct. It is not necessary that all those people who have given the conclusions is 100% correct. Okay, so you need to find out the gaps. I tell you one very important thing. Please, students, if you want to do your research properly, you need to be honest to yourself. Nobody is going to check you out. There might be some cases where others are going to overlook that you have copied, but don't do that. Research doesn't mean just going for a degree, for promotions, for own satisfaction. Please don't go for that. Research means knowledge. Research means contribution. Research means giving help to the new generation so that they can also work hard. They can also come out with new inventions. So that is the main purpose of research. Okay, so be honest to yourself. I will give you a very, very small, little, very, very nice example. One company is there which is by the name of Avon. This Avon company has stated in their advertisement, we are second rank in the market. We are having second rank in the market. We want to be first one. We want to be at the top position. And for that, we need your support. This Avon company has stated in their advertisement and they've admitted that we are at second rank. But just we need your support. And once you're giving us support by buying a product, we will be number one because the quality is number one. So just we need one chance from yourself. Just truly tell me, friends, this particular advertisement is far, far, far unique from others. Admitting yourself that we are not number one. We see so many advertisements daily, but this advertisement is unique. You know the reason why it is unique? Because it is honest. It is honest admission. They're admitting it that honestly, we are at the second rank. We are not at the first rank. But yes, we deserve to be first. And for that first rank, we need your support. This honesty is required in your research. Go for excellent work. Find out, search the excellent research has been done. And then you also continue by doing the excellent research. I hope my voice is audible to all of you. I hope my voice is audible, madam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Now, there are three important things that we need to cover when we are doing the review because my topic is a broad topic, review of literature. So I need to cover when you are doing the review of a book, when you're doing the review of a bibliography. So we need to differentiate about all those things. So I have made this one slide where we are going to see about the book review. Now, when you are evaluating the book, analyze and evaluate a particular book. For book review, you have nothing to do with so many books. You need to take one book which is interesting from your point of view. You are comfortable, familiar with that subject, and you do the review of that particular topic. For example, I'm from commerce. So I will be doing the review of the book which is related to commerce subject. I won't be reviewing a book which is from science or medical science because I won't have that much of knowledge. So when you're doing a review of a book, you need to find one good book and you just do the review of it. Now, when we talk about annotation of bibliography. Now, what is bibliography? What is annotation that I will explain you through here. Summarize the relevant sources and explain the significance of the source to the research question. Now, what is annotation? Annotation is a note by the way of explanation or comment which is added to a text or a diagram. That source also you can refer. For example, in a book or in a thesis, some diagram is there, some table is there. So you will see that just below the diagram or just below the table, you are going to see the source. That source is also very, very relevant. You can take that source in your bibliography. Okay. Now, when we talk about literature review, now when we talk about literature review, you need to concentrate on two important things. When I started my research students, participants, I was very clear in my mind. What is known to me, what is not known to me. Just make your research simple. Don't make it complicated. Okay, make it very, very simple. What is known, what is there in front of me, what has been discovered, what is unknown to me, what is not still done. Just so known and unknown. These are the two important points that we need to cover when we are doing the review of literature, especially of the thesis. Okay. Now, before going to how to write a review of literature, half of the portion we have covered through all these slides. So it is a tea time also. So एक छोटा सा मैं शेयर सुनाऊंगी आपको, जिससे आपको पता लगेगा कि ये जो रिसर्च है ये it's an ongoing process. So you have not to worry about at all. It's a beautiful journey. Consider it as a beautiful journey. Don't take it as a hurt burden or a God, I have to do this much chapters, I have to find out so many articles. It's a beautiful journey. Be positive. Being positive that it's a beautiful journey where I'm going to learn so many things. I'm going to meet so many people. I'm going to gain so much of knowledge. This particular feeling will help you to do your research work daily. It's going to give a lot of interest. Okay. So when we how to write a review of literature, I will share you one small Hindi share when we go for the review of literature. And it is like that. मुश्किलों से डरना आसान होता है. Some I think won't be able to understand Hindi, but still for those who can understand Hindi, मुश्किलों से भाग जाना आसान होता है. हर पहलू जिंदगी का इम्तिहान होता है. मुश्किलों से भाग जाना आसान होता है. हर पहलू जिंदगी का इम्तिहान होता है. बस एक बार आगे बढ़ने का हौसला तो करिए. ऐसे मुसाफिर का तो रास्ते भी इंतजार करते हैं. Absolutely. You go ahead, you will be finding so many solutions for you. The biggest problem is that we take a lot of time in starting that particular thing. So don't wait. Just start with complete honesty, with complete dedication, sincerity, and you will find that the path will be very, very close to you. And you can see so many paths, not only one path, so many paths for you. Okay. So we'll move on to the second part of our review of literature, that how to write a literature of review. Okay. Okay. Now these are the steps. In the coming slides, I will explain you, but in short, these are the slides. The first step of review of literature is choose your topic. The second thing is identify your databases and resources. There are so many online databases like JSPOR is there, EBSCO. These are the very, very important research databases nowadays. Okay. The third one is search and refine. The fourth one is read and analysis. And the fifth one is write your own findings. That is, write your review of literature. Okay, so these are the steps, and one by one we are going to go through these steps. Now, if we see in the review of literature, we can divide the entire review of literature into three parts. So these are the three important parts. The first one is introduction. The third one is the body. Second one is the body. I'm sorry. And the third one is the conclusion. So review of literature can be divided into three parts. Okay. Introduction, body, and the conclusion. Whenever you are choosing any article for the review, for each and every article, you need to do these three steps. Okay. So first, find out the articles which are relevant to you, which is related to your topic. And then for each and every article, for each and every thesis, you need to follow these three steps. Okay. For each article, find out the introduction of it, body, and the conclusion of it. Now, what you are going to cover under introduction? 3 points under introduction that you need to cover. Okay. Just give me a minute. Okay. Now, when we talk about the introductory part, 3 points. My dear friends, concentrate only on 3 points. Your introduction should be complete. First of all, identify or define the general topic. What is the topic that you need to cover in your introduction? Second, point out the key themes or the overall trends that what has been included in this review. Second point, I repeat, please point out the key themes or the overall trends in which the research has been done. Third point, and very, very important point, establish the writer's point of view for reviewing the literature and what conclusions you are going to draw out from your own analysis that you need to cover in your introduction. Many of the students make mistake that conclusion part they write in the third part, that is conclusion. No, in your introduction only, you need to cover that how you are going to go for the conclusion. What will be the base of your conclusion? What statistical tools you will be applying? All these things have to be covered under introduction. I hope I'm not going so fast. Okay. Now, the second part is the body part, which covers the entire gist of your review. This is very, very important. I made it simple for you. Which method we should go to cover the body. So, this method is going to help you out. I tried my level best to make it very, very easy with the examples so that you can understand. Now, when you're writing the body of the review of literature, you need to find out which theme, which principle is going to suit you, and that principle you need to apply while writing the review of literature. Okay, so the first theme is that when explaining, the first principle is theme. Okay, now when to use this principle? When explaining key themes or issues relevant to the topic. This is the most common way to organize literature review. Yes, this theme principle is generally used by me also. It is generally used by so many other researchers. It is the most common one. Why? I tell you the reason. If you please go through the example, it makes it clear. When your study is based on various factors. For example, in this particular example, it has been given a literature review of 31 relevant articles published between January 1999 and March 2004, identified 12 categories of neighborhood characteristics. Now they are studying about the neighborhood characteristics. So many factors you need to cover. What are those factors? Child health, material and child health, income, employment, family structure, population, composition. So many factors are there. Yes or no? So when you are doing any research of particular topic, which is having so many variables, which is influenced by so many factors. Again, I will give you my example. When I was studying job satisfaction, there were so many factors. Timing was one of the factors. Salary was one of the factors. Pride was one of the factors. Facilities, infrastructure was one of the factors. Performance appraisal was one of the factors. So there are so many factors that you need to study when you want to do a complete study. So if you're going for that particular topic in which various factors are there that you need to give justice, you need to study each and every factor. Please go with this principle, that is theme principle. All these we are covering under body part. Okay. Second principle that you can apply depending upon your topic, again coming under second method of body part. Second principle, that is known as methodology review. Okay. Now, when to use this? Now, when discussing interdisciplinary approaches to a topic or when discussing a number of studies with a different approach. Generally, I would say in the medical sciences, generally this theme principle is used by the researchers. We'll go with the example and then I will explain you how. A literature review, in dysentery, fluorescent imaging has been used by many applications, revealing a variety of information about the bonded restoration. Now, in dentistry is the medical study of teeth and mouth. Okay, now restoration means what? Coming to the original form. When you're coming back to your original form. Now, suppose you're having a pain in your teeth. There are so many options that you can apply with that same particular problem. So problem is one, but there are various approaches through which you can solve that problem. So what is your problem? You're having pain in your teeth. So how you can go for, either you can go for root canal, or you can take medicine or something else. It means that the problem is one, but there are various ways through which you can solve out your problem. You're having a pain. So by taking a medicine, you can cure yourself. By doing root canal, you can cure yourself. So there are so many approaches through which you can cure yourself. That principle comes under methodology principle. I hope I hope you are understanding. I will try to give you examples so that you can relate to all those things. Okay. Now, we move on to the third and the last principle that we can apply in the body part of review of literature. And that is, the third one is the chronological. Okay. And generally, when historical changes are central to explaining this topic, when you're talking about the past, that in this particular year this happened, and you can see that it happened and now it is coming to us in this form. So you need to refer the past records. So when you are in your review of literature, when you're talking about historical records, you generally use this chronological principle. I'm going to read out this example for all of you. A literature review is presented on the evolution of water pollution management and its impact on land pollution from 1900 to 2000, with the hypothesis of whether we could have done more sooner. Stream pollution science in the context of the fundamental sanitary engineering concepts of reasonable use and assimilative capacity is examined in light of evolving regulatory framework from the early 90s. This particular review is stating that this particular project started in this to this year, this much happened, but it is also telling that something was missing, we could have done better. So if in your research, you need to refer the past records, historical reports, you can use this principle. While giving the review, you mention that this particular research was done from this was their conclusion, this was lacking, and my research is going to help out in removing those pitholes or removing those problems which has not been solved by the earlier researchers. Okay. Now, we move on to the third part of writing a review of literature, and that is the conclusion. You need to conclude. Now, the conclusion should be your findings. I repeat, your conclusion should be your findings in your own words. What you have provided in your review of literature, what is lacking, what are your suggestions, and what original contribution you have done to yourself. We are very smart. As a customer, we are very smart. Whenever any salesman approaches us, the first thing that we ask them, what is unique in yours? What is the USP in your product? And then only we are ready to spend our money. The same thing happens in our research also. Whenever you are presenting your research paper, the first thing that comes to the mind of the judge or the guide is that what new you have done, what contribution you have done. So in your conclusion, you're not supposed to just write what you have provided, what you have covered, but at the same time, what is lacking in your research. That is also an important point. It doesn't mean that if in your review of literature, you are writing that these points are not covered by me, you're not going to get points. No, we can understand that for each and every research, we are not having that much of time. Within the limited time period, we need to complete that research. So that is always considered. So what is lacking, what has been provided, what are the suggestions, how we can improve ourselves in the near future. So those suggestion part, and most importantly, again and again, I'm repeating, your original contribution has to be in the conclusion part. Okay. So friends, we have covered that while writing the review of literature, three important parts has to be there, divided into three parts. One will be your introduction. Second will be your body. Now, when we talk about the body, that is the main part of the review of literature. Again, there are three themes. One was the theme principle, second was the methodological principle, and third principle was the chronological principle. Okay. So, and the last part is the conclusion. Okay. Now, we are moving to a simpler slides because now we have seen writing and we have seen steps. So I will be going for a simple, little bit simple slides. What is the importance of review of literature? why we should go for review of literature. And while reading the other chapters, I suggest you, before starting the review of literature, please go through the review of literature done by other researchers, so that you come to know that what is the way of writing. Now, the first part is that how important it is to understand review of literature. The first point is that it improves your research methodology. Absolutely. It's very, very important. I always tell to everyone, and I believe myself also in this particular line, that please don't learn from your own mistakes. Don't learn from your own mistakes. Observant, be a good observant. Observe others. What has happened to him? What was his experience? What are the problems he has faced? How he has recovered? So that observation is important. And this quality of observation we should all have, because this observation will help us not to do the same mistakes which has been done by others. So observe. The more you're going to observe other researchers, you are going to learn a lot from them. Don't wait for you to commit the mistake and then you're rectifying your mistakes. That is not done in today's era. There's not much of time with us. So read out those review of literature of other PhD thesis and find out what are the problems that they have faced, what are the limitations of their study, so that when you are doing your own research, you can make a proper strategy that how within a limited time period you can cover your research work, and that too within the stipulated time period. Okay. Now the second one is focus on your research problem. This is again very important. Find out the root cause. Find out the root cause. We have found out the root cause of corona. Yes or no? What is the root cause? Why we are having corona? That root problem has to be there. So find out the root problem. And the best part of review of literature is that it helps you to finding out the main problem. Because if you don't know what the disease is, the cure you cannot start with the medicines and all those things. So you need to find out that what is the main problem, why it is occurring, and accordingly only you can take the medicines. So focus on the research problem. That is the second point, is that it helps you to find out the root problem, and at the same time it helps you to develop your relationship between your findings and the existing body of knowledge. How your research is going to fit or going to match with the current existing body of knowledge. So because generally there is a gap, मेरी research में और आपके research में वो gap होगा, तो how I can create a relationship, how I can build a relationship between my research and your research, how I'm going to bridge the gap between your findings and my findings. This part helps review of literature help us to bridge this gap between your findings and my findings. Okay. Now the third point is cater knowledge base for the research. Yes, I already explained this point in my earlier slides also. When we talk about cater knowledge base for research, find out the research gap. Find out the research gap. When you're trying to bridging up now, it's not possible to bridge the entire differences what you are observing and what differences other researchers have done. It is not compulsory that you need to bridge the gap. If the gaps are there, it's good. You need to find out what is missing in them, what is missing in me. Okay, so find out the research gap. What is the difference of opinion of them? What is the difference of opinion of my research? Okay, now we move on to the fourth one, and that is conceptualizing research findings. This is also very, very important. You need to examine. Now, when you're examining, I would say answering to your own research problem is easy. I repeat, when you're answering to your own research problem is easy. But the problem or the difficulty lies when you examine your research problem in the existing body of knowledge. So it is very important to put your findings in the context. What has been known, what has been occurred, what has been published, what has been discovered in this current existing body of knowledge. You need to fit your findings with the current scenario. Okay. And the last point is very, very important of the review of literature, and that to ensure novelty in your work. I just request all the beginning researchers, they might be attending today's FGP also. Please don't run the risk of reinventing the wheel. I repeat this. Please don't run the risk of reinventing the wheel, which means there is no need of wasting your energy, time in reinventing those things which have already been published, which have already been done by others. But use your energy, use your resources for something new that ensure novelty in your work. Nowadays, lot of strictness is there. If you're not going for novelty, I'm sorry to say, it won't be easy for you to get PhD degree because lot of steps are there. They want something new for the betterment of the society, which is the real meaning of research. So don't waste your time and energy simply copying, because you won't be getting that fruit for which you are working so hard. Okay, so you won't be getting that award. Okay. Uh, my voice is audible, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, these are the characteristics of okay. Now, these are the characteristics of a good review of literature. A good review of literature must be comprehensive. It should be complete. It should be complete in all the respect. Okay, so it should be covering everything, nearly everything which is related to your particular subject. So try to make your review of literature complete. Second, it should include up-to-date reference. Yes, this is very important. Suppose if you are choosing some topic on which already so many research have been done, please don't take those researches which are very years back. Use the current reviews, because they are going to relate with you, because now the situation is different, the time is different, the methodology is different. Earlier we don't used to have statistical tools. Now we are using so many statistical tools. The authenticity is more in today's research as compared to the past records. So don't go beyond 15 or 20 years back. Try to collect the review of literature collection from the latest years, so that you can cope up with that, so that really you can get the knowledge to which you can relate yourself. The third point is that it should be systematic. Yes, you need to follow the steps. Exactly. When we do KG1, then only we will going to KG2. When we are clearing a KG2, passing KG2, then only we'll going to higher standard. The same thing applies over there. It has to be systematic. You need to follow the steps. First introduction, then body, then conclusion. So you need to follow the steps systematically. Um, Generally, about review of literature, it has been very well defined that it involves systematic identification, location, and analysis of documents. I repeat, what is review of literature? Review of literature involves systematic identification, location, and analysis of documents containing information which is related to your research problem. So it has to be very systematic. It should be reproducible. Reproducible means you do some good work so that others are going to copy you. It should be reproduced. That quality should be there in your research work. Others should look up to you. Others should take the support of your research. That I would say that intelligent work has to be done by yourself. So whatever research you are doing, it should be reproduced. It should be copied by others. It should be beneficial for them. Okay. Now, fifth point is that it should be free from bias. Absolutely, it should be free from bias. You should not do any favoritism, and you should be able to write fair. Go for fair writing. Okay, suppose that particular person is your relative, and in your research article you're praising that person. Nothing doing. You need to be honest to yourself, and you need to be write each and everything very fairly. Okay. Now, if that particular thing is missing, write it down. Yes, the entire project has been done very nicely. So many variables have been covered, but what I feel that this particular variable was missing. Otherwise, it would have been much better. The result would have been much better if this variable would have been included by the researcher. So this is, I'm not saying that criticizing is good. No, I'm not saying, in this point of view, criticizing is for the betterment of everyone. That is why critical evaluation is allowed. Okay. Now, the sixth point is that it should be well written. Yes, it should be properly well written. Okay. It should be clear to you, the language, the words that you're writing. Please don't write those words which are having double meanings. Otherwise, it will be problem for them to understand. Make it simple. Make it very simple. If you're cooking anything now, I'm a very foodie person. I have watched lot of food channels, and generally the bottom line, what I feel of all these chefs are there, make it simple, make it simple. Don't put all the ingredients, not make too spicy. Just make it simple. The same thing applies in research also. Make it simple, make it understandable. Everybody is going to like your research work. Okay. Now, seventh point is that it should be clearly searched and selected. Okay, seventh point is very important. Uh, it should be clearly searched and selected. I give you one example of Procter and Gamble. We all know Procter and Gamble. In my early age, I also used Procter and Gamble because I also want to look beautiful. Okay, so Procter and Gamble is a very well-known company. Okay, now when you're doing a research, I give you a short story. A small slight mistake is going to give you major loss. Procter and Gamble is a well-known company. Okay, they introduced Procter and Gamble soap. That soap was super hit. They earned huge profits. Now, what they thought, Procter and Gamble company thought, now we have introduced soap, which is very much in demand. So why don't we go for diversification? So along with the soap, we should introduce cream. Okay, now when we talk about Procter and Gamble, it was the first company which introduced the soap, which are having those for those people who are having pimple problems. Okay, so it was the first company which introduced the soap for those people which are having pimples. And that soap which was introduced, it was a super hit because the girls were so conscious, and especially when we talk about Indian girls, they were so conscious because they want to get married to a good person. So they started using that soap because if you are having any pimple problem, then definitely you go for Procter and Gamble and your problem will be solved. So a lot of soap was sold, not only in urban, in rural areas also. So I'm just joking, but yeah, it's true. They made a huge profit and it was a super hit product. Now, they thought of diversification, that for those people who are having pimples, along with the soap, we will introduce the cream also for those students. Now they introduced the cream also. Now what happened? A slight mistake done by them. The people who were already having pimples, they were used to, they were comfortable with the soap and they started using it. So they were comfortable while applying soap. So those people who were already having pimple problems, they were using soap, Procter and Gamble soap. So they rejected the cream. Now the cream was also rejected by those people who are not having pimples. So in a nutshell, the cream was rejected by the entire masses. Understood? A small mistake done by them. Because the people were having that notion that this cream is only for those people who are having pimple problems. So it was a major setback, huge loss for Procter and Gamble. A slight mistake of them created a major problem. So when you're doing a research, there is no room for you. You can't afford a single mistake. You have to be very careful. A small mistake done by you, it's going to be a major problem afterwards. So be careful what you are writing, okay? What you are searching, what you are gathering, in each and every process, searching, gathering, evaluating, sorting out, analysis, whatever terms that I'm using for each and every term, you need to be very careful. Okay. The last point that comes under the characteristics of a good review of literature is accurate references should be given in the review. Yes, accurate references has to be given. It doesn't cost her. It doesn't cost you anything if you praise that person. Praise that person. Give the references. Okay. So if you're giving the reference, it's going to show that your work is precise. It's going to show that your work is good. Okay. So give references. It shows that actually you're going through so many books. You're working hard. You're going through the depth and the breadth of your research. So references, whatever references you are going through, make it a point that you need to cover all the references. Okay. Now, if you see through this diagram, I won't be discussing much on this topic because we have already covered in other way this particular topic. That is, if we go through this particular diagram, the first thing is that it provides theoretical background to your study or field of interest. Yes, it gives us the starting point. Exactly. When you're having some literature in you, it gives you strength, it gives you help, it supports you that I'm having 15 researchers work with me. So, yes, I can start my review of work. So, absolutely right. Review of literature gives you the theoretical framework, it gives you the, the starting point of your research. Okay. Now, if we talk about the second function of review of literature, is establishes the link between what you propose to examine and what has already been found. It helps to refine your research methodology. Absolutely. It helps you to define when you are going for review of literature, when you've already seen what others have done, what other mistakes they have committed. You learn from those mistakes. So you choose your sample size accordingly, you choose the best method accordingly, you clarify your ideas, and you develop the best methodology which is going to suit to your research. Please don't copy others, what method they have used. So what will be your data collection? When I use the word methodology, it means what will be your data collection method? What will be your statistical tools? What will be your sample size? All these things comes under methodology. So yes, it's true that this is the major function of review of literature. It helps us you to make your own methodology. How much sample size will be sufficient? Many of you are having that doubt. How much sample size we should take? Generally, it is 10%. But sometimes we feel that 10%, though it is 10%, but you feel that if I would have been gone for more sample size, the authenticity, the reliability of my research would be more higher. Okay, so it's like that. So this is the major function of review of literature. If we move on to the third function of review of literature, it helps to justify how findings are related to the body of knowledge in your field of research. Absolutely. How my findings are going to be justified in this current body of language, in this current body of knowledge. This justification is given by review of literature. Okay. Now, if you're doing a review of literature, these are the factors which are affecting the review of literature. First one is the researcher's background. Absolutely. If a researcher is an experienced person, definitely he will be doing a very good research, review of research. But if he's a beginner, it will take some time, more energy, because he's a beginner. Talking about the second factor which is affecting the review of literature is the complexity of the research project. If your research project is simple, you're going to gather the data very easily. But if your research project is complex, it will take more time, more energy, more resources. So it depends upon the research project also. The third point is availability of resources. Yes, in this current scenario, the main resources that we require is internet facility, computers. We require offline, online journal subscriptions. These are the basic things which we require. So if you're having these basic things, definitely it makes your review of literature work quite easy. The third one is the study time frame. Uh, Please, again, I'm repeating the first paragraph that I explained to you in my presentation as soon as I started my lecture. I told you that don't be in a hurry. Give sufficient time. Please give sufficient time to each and every topic. This chapter is equally important as compared to findings, analysis chapter, hypothesis chapter. This chapter is equally important. So you need to give sufficient time. If you're going to hurry up, it's going to create problems, especially in the justification of your objectives afterwards. So sufficient time should be given, whether it is a complex project or it is easy project. The time that much is required. Sufficient time has to be given to both the projects. Okay. Now, the last one is the availability of the support system. Yeah, I would say that if a group of research scholars are working together for one common project, definitely good review of literature will be done by them. If a group of people who are very experienced, definitely they are going to do very good work as compared to one single person doing that work. So it depends upon the availability of the support system. If you get the help of experts, definitely your research work will be much better as compared to those people, those researchers, those beginners who are not getting any help of people, experts, resources. So it will be difficult for them to cover. Okay. Um, we are going to see this particular portion of ours, review of literature procedures. I will just sum up my review of literature portion because I have been given two topics to cover. I will be covering management references at 4:30. Within 15 minutes, we can complete that particular topic, and after that, we can go for question answer. Now, if we see the review of literature procedures, okay. Now, the first step that we need, search the existing literature in your research area of interest. Okay. Now, what is the basic guideline that I will be giving you in your first step? Narrow down your topic. Please narrow down your topic. Make the boundaries. When you're doing some business, you make the boundaries now. I will be doing business in Maharashtra. I will be doing business in India. I will be doing business in Singapore. That boundary, that parameters have to be there. So the first step is that frame your parameters. What will be your limit beyond which you won't be going? So that you need to frame your boundaries. You need to frame your parameters, and which is possible only when you are narrowing down your topic. Okay, so comprehensiveness and narrowness of the topic go hand in hand. Now, what you need to do in this particular step, you need to have to prepare a bibliography. You need to prepare the bibliography. How are you going to prepare the bibliography? Uh, in most of the libraries, so many informations of books, journals, articles, they are stored in computers, CD-ROMs. So you can find over there. You are having search engines also. So through search engines also, there's Yahoo search engine, Google search engine. Google Baba is everywhere. Everywhere Google Baba you can find. Each and every problem, Google Baba is there. So these are the research engines. Through these research engines also you can frame up your bibliography. But please remember one important thing when you are doing the preparation of the bibliography, especially because of the search engines, sometimes it is overloading, which creates confusion. Okay, and most importantly, that same question comes to your mind about the reliability. So please look for publications from the professional organization. I repeat, when you're preparing the bibliography, look for the publications from the professional organization, where you can go for referred journals, UGC care journals, scholar sources. You need to search for scholar sources. Okay, so these points are important. So in this time of ICT, yes, I would say it is easier for you because through Google search, you can find out so many references and bibliographies, but please check the reliability. Don't go for overloading because it's going to waste your time and it's going to create a lot of confusion. First, the thing should be clear to you, then only you can make then only you can make others understand that your research is absolutely correct. If it is not clear to you, how you are going to justify your findings with others? Okay. Now, the second point that we are going to see is review of literature obtained. I would suggest you read and read and read. Read it again and again. Don't be in a hurry when you're doing the review of research, of thesis, or of a book, or of an article. Read it. As soon as many times you are going to read it, you are going to find one more point is added to your research. So read and read. And what type of a reading? Two types of a reading. Reading with a purpose, which means critically. Read from the critic's point of view. Okay? Now, third point that we need to go is develop a theoretical framework. As I told you, it is a never-ending process. Okay? So when you're making the theoretical framework, if you're not having the theoretical framework, nothing to worry about. Read the articles, read the thesis, make your rough framework and start working the evaluation part. Okay? So it's a never-ending process. You need to limit the time for yourself. How much time is sufficient? You need to fix the time for yourself. Fixing the time is very important. Otherwise, you are going to give lot of time unnecessary on these particular parts. So limit your time, which is sufficient for each and every variable. Okay. Now, the fourth point that if we're going to see is writing up the literature review. Now, finally, you are writing your review of literature. We have done all those things. This is the final step. You are writing the review of literature. Now, what you need to cover? You need to cover assumptions of research, theories related to the area of study, hypothesis, research design applied, variables selected, and most importantly, potential future work speculated by the researchers. in your writing of review of literature, you need to cover all these things. Okay. Before writing, try to avoid plagiarisms. Okay. That means please don't copy. If you're copying it, because suppose if you're copying definitions, you can't write definition in your own words. You have to write those definitions exactly which has been written by the author. So no problem is that. Just write the reference from where you have taken this definition. That's all. It's going to give you reliability. Okay. Give due recognition to the work of others. Give appreciation for all those efforts that others have done and which has helped you in completing your research work. So due recognition has to be given. Okay. And that how you can give due recognition by listing those references in your research work. Okay. Okay. I'm going to skip this because we have already covered. Okay. Now, very quickly, I will be going through this diagram. Which method you need to do? There's only one method, that is clustering method. Okay, so you need to search the clustering method, filtering based on category clustering, analyzing the abstracts, filtering the irrelevant papers, filtering based on full text reading, reference scanning, analysis of review of literature. Okay, so you need to do all these things. Okay, so clustering method is important. Make your groups, and on that groups sort out the relevant data which is going to help you. Those data which are not necessary, which are raw, don't take it, because it's going to make your thesis unnecessarily lengthy and confusing. I'll skip the purpose. Okay, very fast I will going to the examples. You can see this face of this particular person. Yes. Yeah, it happened with me. One of my research students came with the review of literature, and it was, I won't be saying it was not up to the mark. I won't be using the word it was very bad, but I will be saying it was not up to the mark. And you won't believe my face was like this. Exactly, I was looking like this picture. I was shocked. Okay, now very quickly I'm going to show you why I was looking like this particular girl. Okay, examples of the bad review. Okay, please, I will go through this. Sexual harassment, one example of bad review. Sexual harassment has many consequences. Adams, Kotke, and Padgett, 1983, found that some women students said that they avoided taking a class or working with certain professors because of the risk of harassment. This is the review of literature I'm reading for you. They also found that the men and the women students reacted differently. Their research was conducted through a survey of 1,000 men and women, graduate and postgraduate students. They also listed problems which are created by sexual harassment in their excellent book. Now, I'm not going to read out the name of the authors. Now, in this particular review, nothing is clear. What is missing in this? What is missing? The first thing that is missing in this particular example, if I tell you, is the reason of sexual harassment. What actually happened? What was the reason? First, what was the impact of this sexual harassment? What was the consequences of this sexual harassment was not covered. How much exact percentage of students got affected by this sexual harassment? It is not covered. Okay, only the problem has been written that there was a sexual harassment, but what was the impact of it? What was the consequences? How they reacted? What they did after the sexual harassment? And what was the actual proportion? What was the actual percentage who got affected because of this sexual harassment was not covered. And please, when you're reviewing, please don't use that word excellent book. Okay, that is not done. On which parameters you are writing excellent book? You write now in their book. This excellent, now again, it is a very controversial word. Lot of debate can be done that on what parameters you are writing this book as excellent. So please don't use these words excellent, wonderful book, amazing book. These words are very, very controversial. So please avoid these words. Okay. Now, we are going to see one same example, but it is considered as a good example of review. Same example, but the earlier was the bad example of review. The same example, but in a sufficient manner, in a proper way, the it has been covered. Now, please go through, and it is also very specific. In the my previous, I will show. In the previous slide, you can see so many things has been written, but the gist is not clear. The result is not clear. So the first important thing that we learn from these two examples, good examples are always specific. Good examples are always selective. They focus on your topic. Okay, now please, I will be going through this example of the good review. The victims of sexual harassment suffer a range of consequences. See, what is more important? What was the consequences of sexual harassment? So they've covered that important point only. They have not covered the rest of the thing. They've covered the consequences, what happened after sexual harassment. I repeat, the victims of sexual harassment suffer a range of consequences, from lowered self-esteem, loss of self-confidence, to withdrawal from the social integration. They change their career goals and depression. These are the main consequences. Again, they have quoted that 13% of the women suffered, 13% of the women suffered, and they avoided taking a class or working with certain professors because of the risk of harassment. They left their career and they started avoiding taking classes because of that risk of harassment. So what was that percentage? 13%. So it is accurate, precise, specific, to the point. And that is why it is stated as this is an example of good review. Okay, now these are the common weaknesses. The review made, I'm going to read out the first weakness. The review made is a mere description of various materials without making an effort to show the relation between the studies and the main objective of the research topic. Many of times, it happened with me also. I also made a lot of mistakes. Now, when I go through my research work, I feel ashamed how I can write such a research paper. Okay, yes, we should learn from our mistake. Okay, that is nothing wrong. We are growing and it takes some time. So nothing to worry. Don't be afraid of the mistakes. But the important thing is that you should never repeat that mistake. Okay. Now, the first common weakness is that simply we are doing the review of literature. We are not finding out the relation, how that article is related to my study. That is important. That relationship has to be there between others' work and my work. Then only I am considering those articles because they are related to me. They are related to my topic. That relation you need to find out. Many times it has been seen that you are not seeing that relationship and simply you are copying. Simply you are doing the review of literature of those articles. Second, students tend to cut and paste, which should not be encouraged. Original works should be cited and quoted. Yes, please do not copy it. Whatever original works you have done, you copy the original work, put the citation, quote it, put the proper reference. Nothing wrong in that. Third, journals or reports that are included are not critically evaluated. Critically evaluate the research questions, the methodology used, and the recommendations made by the researchers. Again, the same thing critically is not being done. In a very by giving few examples, I just want to tell you which is very important from the review of literature. See, many times, many people are having this question in mind. I won't be going for a new topic. If I would be going for a new topic, I won't be getting much literature. If I'm not be getting the literature, how I'm going to cover my research? Again, this is wrong. Again, this is wrong. Even if you're going for new topic, credits will be given to you because you're thinking something new. This particular problem, each and every can understand that you won't be getting that much of review of literature because your topic is new. But again, I would say, even if your topic is new, you have to gather sufficient literature because you need to frame the logical framework. And for the framing up of the logical framework, you need sufficient review of literature. How you can find out the sufficient review of literature? I give you one example. Very short example I will give you. Wait. I'm going to read out that very good example. Study if you suppose if you wanted to study the effect of GPA. GPA is the grade point average. Okay, suppose if you wanted to study the effects of GPA of an exam for non-English students. Okay, now this is a very new topic. Now what you need to do, again, you won't be able to get sufficient literature to develop your framework. So what you will be including, I will tell you what you will be including. Now this exam, the student must pass to graduate. So in this particular topic, which is new, you won't be getting that much of review of literature. So your review of literature will include those studies also which involved English as a second language for the students. You will find out those articles, those theses where English was the second language for the students. So your review of literature will include those articles also, as well as it will include also those studies which indicates the strategies how you can improve the learning of those students whose English is a second language. See how you are twisting your topic and you are gathering the review of literature. Understood? You are covering all those articles where for those students English was your second language. And you also covered those strategies in the articles which has been covered, how you can strengthen, how you can improve the learning of the English second language students. In this way, little bit of twisting of your topic, you will be getting sufficient data as review of literature, even if your topic is new. Okay. Now, one more example I will give you. If your topic has been extensively researched by many people, you need to narrow down your topic. I give you one very example. Suppose if the role of, you are studying the role of feedback in learnings. The study of role of feedback in learning has been extensively researched by many researchers, both for animals also and human beings also, for their verbal learning as well as for their non-verbal learning. Now, what you need to do, you need to develop the relationship. Suppose you are concerned with the relationship between the frequency of feedback and the chemistry achievements. You would not include, again I'm repeating, if you're concerned with the relationship between the frequency of feedback and chemistry achievements, your review of literature won't include the feedback studies related to animals because it has nothing to do with animals. So you need to narrow down, especially when you find so many data. Don't keep on collecting each and everything. Narrow down your topic. Okay. Okay. So what will be the suggestion? Avoid the temptation to include everything you find in your literature. Bigger does not mean better. A smaller, well-organized review is definitely preferred. Okay. Second, when investigating a heavily researched area, review only those work which are directly related to your specific problem. Narrow your topic. Third suggestion, a common misconception among the beginning researchers is that the worth of a topic is a function of the amount of literature available on it. This is wrong. This is absolutely wrong misconception. I have given two examples where it is a new topic, but still how you can twist your topic and you can find the related review of literature data from the market. And the second example that I told you, that too much of data are there, how you can narrow it down. Okay. So we have completed with the suggestions. And in short, I will be concluding my review of literature topic. Thus, we can say that it helps you to compare with other previous studies, and a good review of literature is the foundation of a good research. So please do the review of literature very, very nicely, carefully, honestly. Okay. Now we will be moving on to the second topic that was given to me. It was management references. Now, we need to understand what we mean by references and bibliography. This is also very important doubt we generally have. What is references? In simple language, the detailed description of the document from which you have obtained your information. Okay, I make it very simple. Those information which have been directly referred by you is known as references. Which have been directly referred by you is known as references. Then what comes under bibliography? Those documents which have been consulted by you. There is a difference between referring and consulting. In bibliography, you are including everything, whether you have read or you have not read, but it is specifically to it. So you're including everything that you have read, whether you have included in your research or not, but you have consulted. That consulting part comes under bibliography. But what you have directly added, which you have added in your research work, is known as reference. But bibliography is a list of everything you have read, whether you have specifically referred in it or not. It hardly matters. It can be yes, it can be no, but you have consulted. That portion comes under bibliography. I would be saying that when we make the arrangement of references, it is both alphabetically also and numerically also. But bibliography only it is numerical, not alphabetically. You never go for alphabetically in bibliography. References, you can support the arguments. References can be used to support the arguments. Bibliography you cannot use to support the arguments. Okay, so these are the basic differences. References, you generally go for primary sources. Bibliography, you go for both the sources, primary also and secondary also. In your bibliography, you go for all these research databases, websites. Those comes under books, journals, newspapers, dictionaries. All these things comes under bibliography. Okay. What is the objective of doing reference management? To study the different styles of referencing used over the world, to get the appropriate format of reference or presenting, to know the difference between different styles used. There are so many styles. I will be giving you the examples. How many styles are there through which you can write your references, and to know the origin of the work. Citation means what? Citation means it is a way of giving credit to those people who have worked very hard, who are intelligent work are there, which you have utilized, supported you, helped you. So you are giving credit to them. That comes under citation. I'm skipping these things. Okay, now we are going to see what are the different types of writing the references. These are the various styles. One by one, we are going to see. We see the Harvard style of referencing. Author's name, then the year of publication, article, name of the journal in italic form, volume followed by a comma, issue number in bracket, page number. I've given the examples also. I've already given the PPT to your madam, so you can refer these PPT. Okay, so this is an example of exactly how you need to write when you're going for Harvard style of referencing. Okay, this is Vancouver style, in which the author's surname is followed by initials. Then the title of journal, volume number, issue number will be in bracket, and page number. Generally, we never use these types of style. MLA citation is generally used. It is generally used by humanities and liberal arts. Okay, so MLA means Modern Language Association. It is generally used for, I would say, humanities and liberal arts. Okay, so it starts with the author's name, then the title of article, name of journal, volume number followed by decimal and issue number, year of publication, page numbers, medium of publication. And you can see the example I have given over there. Now, American Psychological Association style. This is generally used by social sciences, that is education, psychology, sciences. We generally use, I have generally used this type of American Psychological Association style. We all are familiar because we have done so many research work, or we are in the process of this. So we have already followed this American Psychological Association style. It starts with the author's name followed by its initials, year of publication, article title followed by full stop, name of journal in italic form, volume followed by comma, and then the page number. Now, there are major two formats which are being used, that is the MLA format and the APA format. Okay, so generally from the liberal arts, they go for MLA format. Now, what is the difference between MLA and APA? Because these are the two formats which are generally being used for writing the and for managing the references. If you see the author's name, under MLA format, the author's full name, that is first and the last, is spelled out. Whereas in APA format, the author's last name is spelled out and the first name is reduced to initials. For example, my name is Nandini Milind Deshpande. So my last name is Deshpande. So I will be writing Deshpande and my first name, that is Nandini, it will be N. That will be initial. Now, second we go to see the difference is capitalization. Under MLA format, all major words in the title are capitalized and the title is underlined. Whereas under APA format, only the first word of the title, the first word of the subtitle, and any proper nouns like names are capitalized. The rest of the thing is not capitalized and it is not underlined. Talking about the preferences, as I told you earlier, MLA format is generally used in humanities and liberal arts category, whereas when we talk about APA format, it is generally used in social sciences, education, psychology, covering all the sciences. Okay. In the conclusion, I would say, thus we can conclude by saying that review of literature is an account of the previous efforts and achievements of the researchers on a phenomenon. It helps us to compare with other previous study, and a good review of literature is the foundation for a good research. Okay. I end up my presentation over here. So thank you very much for your valuable time. I started my presentation. I started my presentation with a beautiful Chinese saying. In between also I gave you, I will end up one beautiful motivational lines. Start this journey, nothing to worry about. We all are there to help you. We all seniors are always there to help you, to guide you. So just start doing your work. एक छोटा सा शेयर मैं फिर से अपने एंड ऑफ प्रेजेंटेशन में देना चाहूंगी. उसको ऐसे हम शुरू करेंगे. बहुत कुछ बदलता है रोज मगर, बहुत कुछ बदलता है रोज मगर मेरे हौसले नहीं बदलते. बहुत कुछ बदलता है रोज मगर मेरे हौसले नहीं बदलते. मंजिल पाने के लिए, मंजिल पाने के लिए बदलता हूँ तरीके जरूर. मंजिल पाने के लिए बदलता हूँ तरीके जरूर, मगर आगे बढ़ने के लिए मेरे इरादे नहीं बदलते. So, my dear friends, you need to have that determination, you need to have that focus, and everything will become very, very easy for you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay. So we will start with our question answer session. So participants, kindly post your questions in the chat box. I will read it out for you. Before going towards the question answer session, I would like to read some of the comments, ma'am, that we have received in our YouTube live. Very nice presentation. Insightful presentation. A very nice session, ma'am. Very valuable section, ma'am. We have got lots of positive reviews for today's webinar. Very nice section, ma'am. Really mind-blowing session, ma'am. Good session, ma'am. Very nicely explained with examples. Very informative and properly guided, ma'am. The session is very useful, ma'am. So these are some of the comments, ma'am, that we have received for excellent session, useful session, wonderful session, ma'am. So these are some of the review that we have received.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
In our chat box. Even actually, ma'am, the session was really very informative, and everything you explained in so simple language, so simple way, that it really finds like research is fun doing thing and not a stressful thing. After listening to your explanation, it I really find like feels like that. Okay, so we will move towards our question answer session now. There are few questions.
Just try to do the justification with the topic, and thank you so much all the participants for such a wonderful comment.
Okay, so the first question we have is how many review of literature is needed to be there in projects for undergraduates, for research papers, and for thesis?
Again, I would be saying, don't go for the numbers, go for the quantity. That is very, very important. Now, when you are selecting a research paper or article, sometimes the research article is covering so many points. Generally, the review of literature has to be minimum 8 to 9 lines, not more than that. So if you're going for undergraduate projects, I would be saying if the article that you have selected is not so lengthy, then I would be saying 6 to 7 will be more than enough because it is a learning process. So for undergraduate, 6 to 7 articles will be more than enough. But if you're going for post-graduation level and if the article that you have selected is not so lengthy and within 5 or 6 lines only you are covering your review of literature because nothing else or major contribution has not been done by the author, then I would select it will be around 10 to 12 articles for the postgraduate level. Talking about PhD level, madam, it depends upon the topic. Very much important for the topic. Again, please don't go for the numbers. Quality is important along with the quantity also. For research, it depends what topic you have selected, and on that point of view, you need to find out the articles.
The next question that we have, should review of literature be maintained alphabetically and written in bold capital letters?
Madam, it depends upon what type of reference you are choosing, MLA or EPA. So it depends upon the style of reference. Again, it depends upon the study that you are undertaking. For example, Chicago is also one of the reference format of writing references. So Chicago style is generally used by history when you're covering some history or when you're going for business. So first of all, we need to understand that what our subject is and which reference is going to suit us. So for arts, it will be MLA. In MLA, the things will be capitalized, it will be underlined, and the entire thing has to be followed, which has been given. So the format has to be chosen according to your topic that is important.
Ma'am, there are few participants asking websites where we can get good research paper reviews.
Yes. First of all, see whether Ulrich Periodicals Dictionary, it indicates referred journal only. So use Ulrich Periodical Directory. One. There are research data which is JSTOR. You can note down one research database very, very commonly used, JSTOR, in which they contain only and only scholarly sources. So you can find the scholar articles over here. One more database is there, Academic Search Complete database, as well as EBCSO. EBCSO is also one of the research databases which contains only peer-reviewed journals. So please refer these databases. It's going to help you out to find out the scholarly articles.
Okay, ma'am, one more question. What is the difference between review of literature and secondary data?
Review of literature and secondary data.
Yeah.
See, when you're working secondary data, now secondary data that you're using, you can include in your review of literature. There is nothing wrong in that. Now, when we're talking about review of literature, there are three sources of review of literature. One is the primary source, second is the secondary source, and the third is the tertiary source. Now, the first one, that is primary sources, means the writer writes his own contribution, like his personal diary, his handwritten projects, research articles. These are primary sources. Come on to the secondary sources. Secondary sources means second-hand information, which already someone has written and you're copying it. In your review of literature, you can include 101%, you can include your secondary sources. What comes under that? Websites, directories, books, journals, newspapers, all these things come under secondary sources. So when you're doing the review of literature, again, I'm repeating, in your review of literature, go for both the sources, primary source also, as well as secondary sources also. As well as I will also recommend go for tertiary sources also. The tertiary sources is very excellent actually. It gives you the general, detailed general background information, which help you either to narrow or to broaden the focus of your interest. So cover not only secondary sources in your review of literature, try to cover the territorial sources also.
Ma'am, next question is, do we need to critically evaluate each review of literatures in our thesis?
I would suggest yes, it is required to critically evaluate, because you are justifying by criticizing those things that yes, criticism doesn't mean that you are saying that he has done not done something, he has done foolish. Critic and evaluation means you are citing that this particular person has done this things, but how my research is different from them. If you are not critically evaluating, then it shows that you're simply doing that work which has already been done by others. So when you're critically evaluating, you're trying to find out the research gap. You're proving yourself that I'm not doing those things which have already been done. I'm doing novel thing. I'm doing original. How I'm doing original? For that, you need to go for critic evaluation, that they have covered 15 variables, but I have covered 2 more variables which has not been covered by them. So criticism doesn't mean huh, you started writing bad words for that person, that he has done half research and not done up to the mark. Critic evaluation over here means you're just finding out the gap, what is not done and what I have covered. That's it.
Okay. Ma'am, next question is, can we include old research papers if they are useful for our research?
Yes, you can go for it, but again, I would be saying that check the reliability of it. Please check the reliability. That can be done from the publication. You can look out the publication from the professional organizations. Websites, again, I would be saying it should be updated regularly. Go for those websites. So, yes, you can go for it, but reliability is a very big question. You need to prove that they are reliable.
Ma'am, next question we have is regarding reliability itself. How to check the reliability of literature review that we get?
Yeah, I explained in my earlier slides also. When we're talking about reliability, when we are suppose doing a review of an article, so how we can find out that whether it is a reliable source or not? So the best part is that you go for Google Scholar. You search for Google Scholar, and this Google Scholar is having the ability to link to an author's profile. They show you the author's profile, and from that you can make it out that what contribution he has done, what other writing he has contributed. Moreover, it also shows the citation. Generally, what we do when we are going for higher level PhD work, we never go for those articles which have not been cited by others. We go for those articles which has got a high number of citations. High number of citations is a proof that they are reliable, original, very good work, and which is going to help us. So I would say, to find out the reliable sources, go for the citation numbers. And you can find out the citation number from the Google Scholar itself.
Okay. The next question is, can we use abstract for reviews because some papers are not accessible as full length?
No, no, no. Please don't do that. Please don't do that, because you won't be able to understand what that particular person has actually done. So abstract is a shortcut. I won't suggest you. Remember one thing, there is no shortcut for success. So please don't do that, because you are just writing in short. But once you need to explain it, you won't be able to do the justification. So do hard work.
Okay. Next question we have is, review of literature can we use newspaper articles for
Yes.
review of literature?
Now, again, I would be saying, yes, you can go for newspapers and magazines. Nothing wrong in those, because those things, newspapers, magazines, chapters, all these things are coming under secondary sources. And review of literature can cover primary, secondary, territorial sources. Nothing wrong in that. Again, I'm saying it is nothing wrong in that if you are dependent on secondary sources. But again, the question comes when you're going for any newspaper or this, please in your reference, make it a point that you are citing it. You are mentioning it, that from this newspaper, this page, this line I have quoted. So reference has to be there, otherwise nothing wrong.
Okay. Next question we have is, when we are doing a research literature, are the variables samples important?
Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. Variables are very, very important. About variables.
Uh,
Yes, yes, madam.
oh, yeah, there is a continuity also. If the hypothesis is required while doing a research on literature,
Pardon, madam. The second
Hy-
part.
hypothesis is required while doing a research on literature.
Yes.
Doing
See, I will give you two examples. Sometimes what happens when you select the topic, you frame your objectives, you frame your hypothesis, and then you start the review of literature. Done. This is the general procedure that we generally follow. We find the topic, we frame the objectives, and accordingly to the objectives, we frame the hypothesis. And then we go for the review of literature. But many times it has also been found that when you are doing the review of literature, you are changing your hypothesis, you are changing your objectives. Because in your research, you came to know that these topics or these hypotheses have been already tested by others. So sometimes, yes, I would be saying that you need to change your hypothesis after conducting your review of literature. Yes, madam.
uh, how last question, ma'am. How old the review of literature would be considered for our research?
Uh, there is no as such guidelines that if the articles are they are old, they are very from 10 years or latest 5 years or latest 15 years, you are supposed to go for it. But what I would suggest that if your topic is very broad, it has been researched extensively by many researchers, it will be better if you take the latest articles, new one, because it's going to help you in your research. The reason is that the references that you're going for, it is going to help you, because when you're going through their references, you can find out those books over there in the library. That is the first point. Second, when you are going to match your findings with their findings, it will be easy for you to develop the relationship of your analysis with their analysis. The authenticity scale is matters a lot. Now when we talk about earlier work, little bit I would say it will be difficult, because at that time the resources, the authenticity, the reliability is somewhat little bit doubtful, because at that time citation was not there for all those old books or old authors. But now citation is the biggest advantage, that I can select the good articles. So I would suggest you, if you are getting sufficient data, don't go for old past records, go for the new one or present one.
Okay, ma'am, we can wind up with the question answer session. I would request Sunny sir for kindly come over and give vote of thanks. Sunny sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Myself, Sunny Punjabi, on behalf of Matushri K.M. Patel College of Commerce and Science, I would like to convey big thanks to our resource person, Nandini Deshpande ma'am, for providing us valuable and in-depth knowledge about the review of literature, like how to write the review of literature in easiest way, steps to write the review of literature, and various golden points taught to us. I also extend vote of thanks to our college management and our vice principal ma'am, Madhuri Nandanwar ma'am, for anonymous support in the organization of FDP. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be a part of this FGP. Thank you so much. All the entire team, Sneha madam, Madhuri madam, thank you lot. Thank you so much.
Participants are requested to fill the feedback form for the second day. Then after, you can leave the session. The feedback form link is in chat box.